Now let's go to parts. Because we've got to have a vision for our parts department. So in our service department, we want people to walk away and say what? Man, they're a little what? But they do great. All right, that's our vision there. How about parts? So in the parts department, we want people to walk away and say what? Man, they're a little what? High, but they have all the parts we need. Is that what we want them to say? No, that's bad in the parts department. Because in parts, we don't want people to think we're high. We want people to think we're what? We're competitive. I want people to walk out of my parts department and say, man, they've got great prices and they seem to have everything I want. Very different message there. Okay, you can't be too high on things because what in a parts department is the worst thing that can ever happen to you from a consumer standpoint. They perceive you're a price gouger, right? Okay, that's the worst thing that could ever happen in a parts department because how fast will that spread? It's like a wildfire. So I tell people, so in our parts department, we want people to walk away and saying, man, you guys have got great prices and you seem to have what? Everything I need. Okay, now we have to do that, and I'm going to share with you how we do that. So when we go into this, I'm laying this stuff out, and I'm going to go back and say, okay, well, this is how we actually make that happen. Does that make sense in parts? Okay, and again, so we're going to talk about some things here. So how do you make sure you have everything they need? Well, we have to expand our SKU numbers, but I'm going to show you how to do it without adding any extra dollars to your inventory. Because I tell you people, again, not adding more dollars is not the solution here. You already got plenty of dollars there. You're just not using those dollars in the right way. So we'll talk about how to do that a little bit later. So in service, we have a vision. In parts, we have a vision. Now, how about whole goods? What's our vision for whole goods? Well, I want people in my whole goods department to walk away and say, man, they've got great equipment and they're fair to work with. That's what I wanted to say. They're fair to work with. Did I say they're the cheapest? No, they said they're what? They're fair. I want to be known when I sell equipment as being what? Fair. Because that's what people want. There's some people that only want the cheapest price. They represent 15% of the buyers that you have. 85% of the people want to buy equipment from somebody that is fair, and they want to buy equipment that is risky, right? No. What do people want to buy? They want to buy equipment that is safe. That's one of the perks you got with Walker. How long has Walker been around? I mean, we're not talking lawn shark here, okay? All right, so you've got what in my business we call a tier 1 product. If you're a Walker dealer, it's a tier 1 product. There's no risk for the average consumer that looks at it out there because it's got a history. Would you agree? So you're selling a premium product at that point, and people perceive you are what? Fair. Are we going to have the lowest price? No. That's what I said. We're not going to have the lowest price, but we are going to be what? Fair to deal with. And I'm going to show you again how to make that happen. Because does it mean we have to negotiate? Of course we have to negotiate today. I tell people, again, that's the other thing. I tell people in whole goods sales, people say, well, I'm going to hold my price. And they go, well, then you're going to starve to death. Right? I tell people the reason that you try to hold your high margins on all your equipment is because your service and your parts department are not making you money, and you have to sell a lot of whole goods to subsidize 2 departments that should be carrying themselves. Once you fix those 2 departments up there, then I don't care so much about it. I want to sell my whole good because when I sell more whole goods, what happens to my business? I grew up on a dairy farm, but we also had a huge apple orchard that we sold apples from. Okay, has anybody ever been on an apple orchard or in an apple orchard? Okay, we planted apple trees every year for shade, right? No. We planted apple trees for what? Apples. See, you planted the tree not for the shade of the tree, but for the fruit of the tree. It took, on the average, for an apple tree to start being productive 4 to 5 years. So I tell people, well, our business is a lot like that. When you sell a mower, you are planting a tree, right? Now, the first year, that tree is not going to bear much fruit. Would you agree? And the second year, if you're on top of the services and stuff that should be done on it, it will produce some fruit. But at 3 or 4 years, what starts happening on every piece of equipment that's out there running it, regardless of who manufactures it, it starts doing what? It starts breaking down. Are we excited that the equipment breaks down? Praise the Lord. Because what do we want to have in our shop? I tell people the problem I got with some manufacturers is you make your stuff too darn good, right? I need it to do well. Because where will we make our money at? What's the fruit of a lawnmower? Parts and? Oh, baby. And so let's plant a lot of what? The more trees, the more equipment you have out there, the more it does what? And it doesn't happen the first year, and you get a little bit the second year, but by the 3rd, 4th, and 5th year, guess what starts happening? It is producing fruit by the bucketfuls. That's when we start making our money on it. So I tell people again, don't get caught up in margins, because that's the other thing I tell my dealers. I want you to make money on your whole goods, but if you can get a deal done on a mower and there's only $200 or $300 separating you from that deal and that person walking out with that mower, forego the $200, get the mower out there, because once the mower's out there, it'll start doing what? It'll start generating income, and it'll always produce me more income in service and parts than it ever did when I sold it originally. And once they buy it from me, and I start servicing it, guess what the probability of them coming back on their next equipment and doing what again? And I will tell you, because we don't care about satisfied customers, when they come back, guess what I won't have to do to the margin the next time? Because they will have now had 2 or 3 years to buy into why we are a dealer and all the other things that we bring value to them. If they're a brand new customer out there, they don't know anything about your dealership. All you are is just another dealer with another piece of equipment. But once you've had a chance to experience what I do in my dealership, when you come back the next time, I'm not going to have to reduce my margins on it, because you're coming back because you do what? You've fallen in love with who? Us. That's what it's all about. It's all about. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So again, so vision. So I'm going to challenge you over the next few days while you're here. I want you to be thinking about that. And I tell people, you don't have to take my visions. It's just what I do in shops we do it. But feel free to take them. If you go, well, I kind of like those, well, then use them, right? I mean, there's no magic to them. It's just when my guys in the shop come in, they're focused on what? Turning out what? Quality work. I tell you, we don't apologize for our price. When somebody calls up my dealer in Kansas City, as a matter of fact, I instructed my service writer. He says, well, what do I do when people ask me what our labor rate is? And I say, well, it's $91 an hour, but keep in mind, seldom does it ever take an hour to fix anything, so tell me what's wrong with your equipment. And people go, oh, and they just, so I just say it's $91 an hour, but seldom does it ever take an hour to fix anything, so tell me what's wrong with your equipment. And people just go, oh, well, it's doing this, 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 and this, right? It's $91 an hour, but most of the jobs that go through a shop are not an hour in length. So the $91 has no significance really to the bill anyway, right? So your problem is you get all nervous when you talk about price. I tell people, I don't get nervous. People say, gosh, your price is high. I said, everything's high today. You bought gas lately? It's terrible, isn't it? Yeah, you're right, Bob. I tell people, you want to dance? We'll dance. I don't want to apologize for a price. Everything's high today. So manage backward. Once I know that I want my vision to be that we're a little higher, but we put out great work, then from that point on, then we build our whole shop. We say, this is where we want to end up. Now, how do we get there? And I'm going to show you how we get there in just a second. But I just want you to understand it. So that's what happened. So when Kennedy said before the end of the decade, we're going to put a man on the moon and bring him back safely, we knew what the vision was. And then from that point, we had to do what? Start doing what? Say, okay, well, what's the next thing? What's the last thing? And then what's the next thing? And we started backing up to a point of, well, what I need to do today is just this. I tell you, it's not big. It's like when we do shops. We do a shop in a week. In a week, we will have a shop producing at least 85% recovery. So for every hour you're buying in a week, and actually it happens on Wednesday, because Thursday I work in the parts department. It's just easy to do once you know it, and you get everybody doing what? Focused, right? Because the first thing I do is I introduce their new comp program. So I show them how they can make automatically more what if they do what? Follow my process. I don't ever take any money away, so whatever they were making an hour, they still make per hour, but now they get bonuses on efficiencies. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit later, right? Does that all make sense? So the next thing, again, it starts with process. And I tell dealerships, the most important thing you have to understand if you're going to be successful in a business, and especially in a dealership, is everything has to have a process.